Welcome back, folks, to Lost Media Request. I'm Mr.Bones, and this is the show where you give me a Lost Media request, and I talk about it. Special thanks to Horned Crusader for this topic specifically, as it's something that I've been wanting to talk about even before I created Lost Media Request. Pac-Man Ghost Zone, a video game developed in 1996 by Namco Home Tech that never saw the light of day, though it was eventually reworked into what would become Pac-Man World. And the reason why I'm talking about it right now, and as of the recording of this video, Pac-Man World Repack was released, a remake of Pac-Man World. Pac-Man Ghost Zone was a 3D free-roaming platformer that used tank controls. Gross. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because originally I was going to make, 15-20 minute video talking about the development hell that this game went through. After looking at Sam & Max Freelance Police, I looked at Pac-Man Ghost Zone instead, and just like Freelance Police, it also had a terrible, tragic story behind it. But seeing as how this is a Mr.Bones Shorts, not a dedicated video, I'm going to try my best to basically summarize everything that there is to know about the game. At the point in time, Namco of Japan in 1996 wanted a 3D platforming Pac-Man game to be developed for the original PlayStation. They were too busy doing their own projects over in Japan, so they gave the project to Namco Home Tech, the American division of Namco. Namco Home Tech was treated terribly at this point in time, and they were only given 2 weeks to build a playable build of Pac-Man Ghost Zone. 2 weeks. And apparently, according to Namco, technically allowed to use the quote-unquote real Pac-Man. What the f is that supposed to mean? So what Namco Home Tech did was create Pac-Man Ghost Zone, and the story goes a little something like this. A snotty kid is getting all upset because all of the hot new arcade games are being used right now, and he's forced to play Pac-Man, a lousy, gross arcade game that no one loves and no one remembers.
Hey, wait! Let someone else play! Beat it! We were here first. Go play Pac-Man. Pac-Man? Is this old thing even still here? Nobody ever plays it. No 3D, no fighting, no blood. Where's the fire button? This is so lame. This game's for my grandma. That stupid old game. You stink.
That's exactly what comes to mind. This little shit is getting all upset, and the ghosts inside the arcade machine apparently are conscious for some reason, and they see this little kid making fun of them. The Ghost Lord, the villain of the game, gets so frustrated that he ends up sucking the little bastard into the arcade machine, turning him into Pac-Man. It's up to this kid, name undisclosed, stop the Ghost Lord and essentially escape the Ghost Zone. Now that's a pretty cool concept. Unfortunately though, the game looked like total shit. It used tank controls instead of, proper Crash Bandicoot-esque free-roaming controls. I don't know why they chose that, but I have a good reason. It was easy to program, and it was easy to program because they only had 2 weeks to make a demo for the game. Namco of Japan were a bunch of to Home Tech, cutting deadlines, cutting funds. The president of Namco of Japan, President Nakamura, at least at this point in time, was a giant from what I could tell and what I've researched from this game. Apparently, he didn't even like video games all that much. He didn't really care about gaming all too much. He just liked 3D graphics. And so Namco Home Tech decided, okay, well maybe Mr. Nakamura will be pleased if we make a pre-rendered cutscene for the game. He likes 3D, so why don't we do that? He might actually like the game then. So then they asked for funds from Namco of Japan to make a pre-rendered cutscene, and Namco just says no. Nice going, Namco of Japan. Basically, Namco of Japan set themselves up for disappointment and Home Tech up for failure. It seems Nakamura didn't really understand what he was asking of Home Tech at the time. Not only was he asking a team that had never made a game before, but he was asking them to make a 3D platformer, a very new breed in 1996, let alone for the PlayStation, and not for the Nintendo 64, a console dedicated for 3D gaming, unlike the PlayStation, which only had a 32-bit processor. It's just, I don't think Nakamura fully understood what he was asking of Home Tech at the time, and overestimated them. With that said, they showed him a playable build of the game, the half-assed one that they only had 2 weeks to make, and obviously, Nakamura was not very happy, and fired almost everyone except for a lead designer, an artist, and a programmer to rework the game into what would become Pac-Man World. And that's pretty much the story of Ghost Zone. It's a real shame that this game died in such vein, especially since Namco of Japan didn't really give Home Tech the opportunity to make a proper game. If they gave them more development time, gave them actual money, and just, listen to them, they would actually make a fantastic game. I think if they stuck with like a more Crash Bandicoot route and instead of used tank controls, Ghost Zone would have been fantastic, and I think it would have been up there with Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot. It would have been great. Unfortunately though, everyone knows the story, but hey, let's be real here. At least we got Pac-Man World 2, and that's pretty much like one of the greatest 3D platformers of all time. So I ain't complaining. And a lot of people like classifying this as lost media, and I feel like that term has just been stretched on a lot because technically this wasn't lost media, because this was never access to the public. Yes, there were E3 builds of the game, which I'm hoping those leak online at some point in the near future, but it never was really playable at any point in time. So I guess it really falls in the realm of unreleased media, more than lost media. Aw, now I have to change the title now. But until a playable build of Pac-Man Ghost Zone resurfaces online, it's gonna stay a mystery, and that really does suck. But hey, let's look on the bright side. If we can find stuff like the Earthworm Jim pilot, Sawbon Moon, the Wicked Witch of the West episode, something tells me that this game may resurface at some point in the future. Once again, special thanks to Horned Crusader for giving me this topic, and if you have a lost media request that you're interested in, leave a comment down below or apply to my community page where I talk about it. I'm Mr. Bones. I'm gonna go play Pac-Man World Repack now. You guys have a good night.